Welcome back to Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. I'm Zach, and with me today is my good friend George.
Hey.
This is Series 1, Episode 25, and we are in the Endgame now. That's right.
I see what you did there.
That's right, because today we're talking about Avengers Endgame from April 22nd, 2019. After we discuss the movie, we'll figure out where to place it in our MCU movie ranking, and our mission to figure out which one is absolutely the best, and this one is definitely in the running for that.
Haven't made up your mind where it is yet?
Actually, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Spoiler alert. As a reminder, we assume the listener has seen the movie before, and of course there will be spoilers. Do you want to kick off the movie memories, George?
I always feel bad that you have so much better movie memories than I do.
Yeah, so go first then.
I think all I really remember is itching to see this movie as soon as possible, and then I didn't. And then I got super pissed because somebody on Instagram posted the best scene ever.
Oh man, the Captain America wielding Mjolnir?
Yep.
Okay.
So I saw that. And I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. And I was so angry that I saw it there first.
Yeah. Oh,
instead
man.
of
That is
in the movie theater.
Man, what the hell?
So you knew what I was talking about when I said the best scene in Marvel Cinematic Universe ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few I could have picked, but that one popped in my head first for sure.
Yep. But yeah, no, it was I was really excited to see what they were going to do, especially after that big ass cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching Captain Marvel. So yeah, I was really pumped. That's all I remember, really. Just that overwhelming feeling of excitement, and I have no idea what I was doing, but I wish I had seen it in the movie theater on opening night.
I was surprised I didn't see it on opening night because I mean, that was a year wait, right, from the end of Infinity War.
Yep.
But I guess I waited 4 days to see it, so not too long. And I probably just couldn't fit it in sooner. I don't exactly remember why I didn't see it right away. I did see it 3 times in the theater, and I liked it more each time. The first time, I was kind of blown away how quickly they wrapped up the thing with Thanos at the beginning. And then I was like, well, what's the movie about now? So I liked that it subverted expectations there.
They did a great job doing that in several places.
Yes. And I've watched this movie dozens of times since then. It's one that my wife likes to watch a lot. So sometimes when she wants to watch something that we're both interested in, this is one of those things. One of those quick movies you can just sit down and watch.
When you have an entire afternoon off.
Exactly. I swear to God, it probably takes us like 2 weeks to watch it now because I can't like lay down, because we would usually just watch it in bed, like on an iPad or something. And after 20 minutes, I'm passing out no matter what we're watching.
I see.
But anyways, I've seen this movie a lot of times and I love it. It's a great movie. I think this is the first time I watched it with the commentary though. It all sounded new to me anyway. I didn't remember it. That's commentary with the Russo brothers as the directors,
mm-hmm.
and the writers, Christopher Marcus and other guy, McFeely. Yeah, I forget his first name. Stephen McFeely? Something like that.
Yeah, if I had to choose between which part of his name to remember, it'd be McFeely.
It is an unusual name. So Avengers Endgame is the 22nd movie in the MCU series. Normally we do writer, director, and cast stuff here, but there's literally no one new involved. We've talked about all of them before, and this is likely going to be a very lengthy discussion, and I'm probably going to put in some long movie clips, so we're going to just skip over that and get right into the movie.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So the movie opens with Hawkeye losing his entire family. That is a brutal opening.
Yeah. I thought that was perfect. I didn't think it was perfect that he lost his family. I just thought as an opener for this movie, it was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the coldest of openings. His family gets snapped out of existence when he's not looking. And I remember when I first
picnic, no less.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw it in the theater, like I wasn't even sure the movie had started when the scene starts. There's no credits, you don't have the Marvel logo thing or anything. And I don't know, I was like half expecting Jeremy Renner to remind me to turn my cell phone off and enjoy the movie, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you clue in pretty quick what's about to happen. And I don't know, I think the first time I saw it, I thought, maybe just his daughter or just his wife would get snapped, but no, he loses his wife and 3 kids. They're just gone. And it's especially fucked up because as far as he knows, they just disappeared,
Yeah.
right? He turned his head and they were there 1 second ago and now they're gone. He doesn't know about the snap. And I think Jeremy Renner is excellent here. The way he's just running around kind of aimlessly. He does a great job of like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Right. For a guy like spends a lot of his life professionally knowing what's going on, he's just like panicked.
Yeah. So I don't know. I would be so confused. I don't know how I would have reacted. So
Yeah.
and it would take forever to accept that loss, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When Lila first disappears and all you see are the ashes when he turns around,
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You're not even sure that he sees the ashes, right? Because
No, he
he's not
sees the ashes,
looking
but
for
I
it.
think he's just
Is
like,
it?
it's like, oh, it's just dust or something,
Yeah.
right? Which it is.
Yeah.
It's his kid's dust.
That's messed up.
Yeah. But then like he turns around looking for the rest of his family, and by then everybody but him knows what happened. And that's the
Yeah.
tragedy part,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like you're watching him not have a clue.
And I was thinking that if this was your the first MCU movie you started with, I don't know why you would do that, but like that would be pretty confusing as an audience member as well. And
Right.
I'm glad that they didn't dumb this down for the casuals just to get a potentially wider audience,
Yeah. Can you imagine if you went to the bathroom just and then came
Just
back
I
after
gotta
the
go real
scene?
quick.
Yeah.
Just like I know I'm
It
gonna
has
have to
to
go
be
in the
the
middle.
beginning.
Yeah, nothing ever happens at the beginning of a movie. From the commentary, his daughter. Do you know who plays his daughter?
One of the Russo brothers' daughters. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Joe Russo's daughter. And they said that this was originally in Infinity War. It wasn't clear to me if they had filmed it and they decided not to put it in there.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, but presumably at the end, and I guess it was like didn't quite fit.
It just felt like it was too much because you were going from, what did one of them say? Like you were going from space to Wakanda, and then like it was just adding. It just felt like too much, so they saved
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So you listened to the commentary as well, then?
Just the beginning part.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I didn't get a chance to redo my notes and all after going through the commentary version.
Mm-hmm. So after that, we catch up with Tony and Nebula stranded in space on the Milano. It is the Milano, right?
Yeah.
Because I keep losing track of how many times that's been rebuilt and potentially destroyed. Tony teaches Nebula to play paper football, which I thought was a nice moment. Although it looked like it was made out of metal, but
I just thought it was like aluminum or something, or
yeah.
like
Well, aluminum is metal.
True. Yeah, yeah.
But I like that. That was cool. I haven't done that since elementary school.
Same.
And this feels like a big turning point for Nebula. Like she actually cares about Tony, I think, at this point.
Well, I mean, I think it's because she saw everybody. Because were the two of them the only ones that escaped?
Yeah. Well, everybody else got snapped.
Got snapped, right? Yeah.
Like all the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange and Peter Parker.
Yeah. So I think seeing everybody disappear, I think it hit her more than she realized. Also, she's still getting over the fact that her sister was gone.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they're basically out of food. They're almost out of air. I feel like he seems like he's accepted his fate. He records a message to Pepper in case they're ever found, and it's a pretty touching message. But he still manages to be fun. It's pretty good.
It's great. I fucking hate all of Tony's messages in this movie because I'm borderline.
All of them make you cry.
They're so good.
Yeah, yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. I just feel stupid crying in a comic book movie, and I did it a lot, and I do it every time I watch it. Maybe even more every time.
It's it's coming.
Yeah.
Is why it's problematic, and it's still so good.
Yeah, like ugly cry.
Yeah.
Like breathing in weird.
Or when your soul pauses.
Yeah, is that what that is? I didn't think I had one. So just as Tony's dozing off, maybe for the last time, Captain Marvel finds them, and it wasn't clear to me if she was sent to find them. I think in the commentary they do say that they assume that there's some sort of homing beacon on the ship that she tracks.
Mm.
So I don't know if they had completely thought that through either.
I thought that they sent her to go find him.
Yeah, I mean, I assume
Yeah.
that um, after Captain Marvel shows up at, sorry, after the, is that the
Yep.
stinger in Infinity War? It's the stinger at the end of Captain Marvel where it's after Infinity War, right? And it's like
She
Rhodey
shows up
and
with the pager.
yeah, she shows up for the pager, right? I
Yeah.
presume that they're like, hey, go look for this dude. He was last seen headed for Titan, right? But
Right.
how she actually found them seems like a bit of a long shot. So just having randomly found them seems like it would have been really dumb. So I assume that there had to be
Space isn't that big.
something. Not when you can move that fast, I guess. So Captain Marvel brings Tony and Nebula back to the Avengers headquarters on Earth
Ooh,
in
wait,
the
quick.
ship.
One quick nit. I don't know if it's a nitpick because I don't really care. Because all my nitpicks are
It's
like
like
very
most of the things
just
in this I'm
stupid.
like,
Yeah,
but I
now it's
don't
just
care.
stuff. But like, hey, the arc reactor on his chest, is that just a case for the nanobots?
I think so, yeah.
So why does he just keep it? So he just keeps it on his chest all the time?
I guess, I don't know.
Because like, why
There's,
didn't he just add more nanobots to his helmet and fix his helmet?
oh yeah, that's a great point.
I mean, I was just thinking. I was just curious if maybe that occurred to you too. Because when I was watching that scene, I was like, "Hey, wait, he's still got the thing on his chest." Unless that's what's keeping him
Yeah, it's
alive.
weird that he would just take the helmet off because wouldn't that just retract back into the thingy on his chest?
Yeah, and then
That's
why not just
yeah.
make a working telephone?
Yeah, that's weird. That's a good point.
Smaller form factor.
um yeah, I had not thought of that.
Okay, well, now I'm an asshole.
Oh no, it's fine. I mean,
I was just curious.
I can let that one go for sure.
Yeah.
So let's see. Captain Marvel brings Tony and Nebula back to Avengers headquarters on Earth in the ship. Captain America, Rhodey, Black Widow, Bruce Banner, and Pepper are all there awaiting their return. This is the first time that Cap and Tony have seen each other since the end of Civil War.
Yep.
So it's a pretty impactful scene.
Yeah.
We do get a little bit of a previously on the Avengers. It's been 23 days since Thanos came to Earth. Black Widow says Thanos did exactly what he planned to do. He wiped out 50% of all living creatures. We need to clarify this though, because have you ever seen that meme? Or I don't know if it's a meme or just a tweet or whatever, but it got passed around a little bit. But it's like, if Thanos snapped 50% of all life, that means that the survivors would have lost 50% of their gut biome in an instant and would have spent the next few months power blasting their bathrooms with diarrhea.
Oh, because the organisms also inside of them, right?
That's right. So
Hmm.
have you seen that before?
No, I
Okay.
mean it would make. I mean, I think maybe Thanos was staying within a certain size.
So I think that's exactly my clarification, because it's not just here where I think it's Black Widow says all life, but like Gamora says it at one point, and it might have been one of the in Infinity War. I think she says it. But
Mhm.
anyways, I think it's more like half of all intelligent, like higher intelligence life.
Maybe, yeah,
Because otherwise, then like you'd lose half of the fish and half of the chickens, half the cows, and all that.
right.
So that doesn't really help with the resources issue that Thanos was talking about in Infinity War, right?
Maybe
And
self-aware life.
yeah, something like that. I don't know, but I don't think a fish is self-aware.
Yeah,
um,
it's. I mean, it's sentient, right? But it's not like self-aware.
yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know enough about fish and life in general. Um, and certainly not half of all life, because then that includes trees and algae and plants, and those are all
Mhm.
gone too, right? So in Infinity War, where Gamora says that his plan was to wipe out half of all life, that's her words, not his.
Yeah.
And when he was going around massacring populations, doing it manually, he wasn't cutting down half the trees and killing half the cattle and stuff like that,
Right.
right? So
So he clearly had
I've,
I think he had he had a vision, and those things weren't part of that vision.
yeah. Oh,
Otherwise,
interesting.
you'd be waiting for like days to be very highly specific before you snap your fingers, right?
Yes. Okay. So that was my next point, but I think that you said it right there. He had a vision about it. Like that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a specific wording,
Yeah.
but okay, I like that.
It's like a
That's a good answer.
generic chat GPT prompt that he typed in saying, and he was
I
happy
don't know.
with the
That could
result.
have been that could give you a wildly different result.
Mm-hmm.
As a side note, to when Thanos was manually killing half the populations of various planets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So were all those planets then spared the snap because they already lost half, or are they all now down to a quarter?
I would imagine that they're probably down,
Damn.
right?
I was gonna say maybe part of his vision was to exclude those, but
That would have just taken too much time. I would think, because then he'd have to be like, speaking of like, eh, spare these 300 planets that I
it's
had
getting really
already.
specific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of taking too much time, sorry. All that is to say, like I'm okay with the just saying 50% of all life. I think we know what they're talking about here.
Right. This is the fun stuff about revisiting the movie and then discussing it.
I agree. So Tony takes out his aggression on Cap and help, but have you seen Team America World Police?
Yes.
Yes, I cannot help but think of that whenever he says, "I am inevitable here." Just expect,
Never.
yeah. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google Team America World Police Inevitable. Thor is still hellbent on revenge and chops Thanos' head off with one swing of Stormbreaker.
I went for the head.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And you can tell it doesn't make him feel any better, you know?
I
But
took that
I
as
can,
that was when he broke, because he
yeah,
realized I fucked up so hard when I didn't do it
yeah,
the first time.
yeah. Doesn't fix anything though. Then it is 5 years later, and I don't know why they had to drag out the 5 years later.
Yep.
They show
I
that.
think they wanted it to sink in that a lot of time passed by.
Yeah, okay. In New York City, Cap is leading a grief group, I think, basically. And he's taking a page out of Sam's book there, That was Sam's thing in the second Captain America movie, right?
Mhm.
Working with the veterans. Here, this is just like, I think anybody who wants to talk, which makes me think that the group would be way bigger because I would just fake trauma to hang out with Steve Rogers.
Right, especially if you knew that Captain America was running
Yeah,
a support group.
exactly.
I'd
I'd be like, yeah, I'm super sad all the time. I can't get over it.
right, can I hold your shield? It'll help me cope.
Yeah, I'd settle for a hug. That's fine.
Yeah. Geez, everybody 5 years after the snap is hella sensitive.
Yes. Like, it's been 5 years, guys. Come on.
Yeah, move on already.
Well, this kind of goes back to what I was saying, where you're just faking it to hang out with Steve Rogers.
Yeah. Did you see like how like New York looked like an apocalypse hit it? Like the parking lot of the stadium was just had cars all busted up. And I just
Yeah.
didn't get why wasn't it just parked cars versus like cars overturned or cars that look like they got set on fire and stuff.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe in 5 years, people have just,
Gave up.
gone wild with the vandalism. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
Because San Francisco's pretty trash too, right? Which we get to next. Parts of it anyway.
Yeah. Parts of it. That the little monument thing was really nice looking.
Yes. We will get to that. Actually, I
Yeah.
have something to say about it.
Actually, that's the next scene, isn't it?
Pretty much. In San Francisco, the quantum tunnel van is sitting in storage, and a rat crawls on the controls, finally freeing Scott Lang from the quantum realm.
The hero of the MCU.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I wish they had done something different with this, because that's like one crazy coincidence. And if he had not been let out, this movie would not have happened, right?
Yep.
They would have never got the stones. They would have never defeated Thanos. But again, it's such a great movie. I can move on. It takes Scott a while to figure it out, but after visiting the Wall of the Vanished Monument, I think that's what it's called,
Mhm.
He finds his own name while he's panically looking for his daughter's name, hoping not to find it. I inadvertently found a Reddit post that made me laugh.
Oh.
I was looking into because I was trying to figure out what the name of that monument was.
Mhm.
And it said, the most unrealistic thing about Avengers Endgame is that the city of San Francisco conceived of a monument, found a piece of empty land, hired an architect, finalized the design, cataloged the names of the missing, broke ground, built the thing, and then opened it to the public all in 5 years.
That's true.
Funny. But whose names go on there? San Francisco is about 900,000 people. I'm actually surprised it's not more. I would have guessed over 1 million, but apparently it's only 900K. So if half of those people were wiped out, that's 450,000 names, right?
Yeah.
So I took a close look at these slabs. There's about 3 names per line. There's if I counted.
Did you guess how tall each one is? Each slab is?
No, I counted. You could count how many lines there were.
Right.
So I didn't even that's what I was going to do. Is I was like, those look like they're maybe 12 feet, but then you got a foot on the top where there's no names. But then I was like, I can just count the number of lines on one of these, right?
Yeah.
So there's 36 lines per side, 2 sides. So 216 names per slab. 216. So 450,000 divided by 216 is about 2,000 slabs you would need. And I think I counted there's about 50 per row. There's 8 rows. Let's call it 10. Let's be generous. I did this wrong. So it's 50 times 10 is 500. So, we're off by a factor of 4 at least. So this movie's garbage.
And they only show you a piece of it, a piece of the memorial.
Yeah, but you see a few different angles. So, maybe there's a whole other section that's, I don't know, like a football field away or
Goes
something.
further out, yeah.
But to be fair, it never once occurred to me to check that until this last time that I watched it. So Scott goes to his house and finds that Cassie's all grown up. And that's totally fucked, man. That one I have a hard time wrapping my head around. It's been hours for him, but he's missed years. Like that's crazy.
Paul Rudd, he was hella good in this scene. This is probably the best part of this. His best like acting in this movie was like this one scene.
He looked like he had, almost tears going and stuff. I was pretty impressed with him here. I don't always like his dramatic acting, but it was good.
Does he do dramatic acting?
Not a lot. At Avengers headquarters, Black Widow has a Skype meeting with Rocket, Okoye, Captain Marvel, Nebula, and Rhodey. Black Widow seems to be in charge now. You caught the little hint, I'm sure you have, at the Black Panther 2 plot with the earthquake under the ocean thing.
Oh, yeah.
Too bad that didn't pan out so great. Everyone signs off except Rhodey, who sticks around to tell Black Widow about a bunch of cartel people killed in Mexico. He says it's Barton, which is Hawkeye, in case you didn't know. It seems that he's traded his arrows for a sword, and he's been killing criminals for years now. Nat seems to want to find him, and it's clear that she cares about him quite a bit. Speaking of good acting, Scarlett Johansson here, man, with like watery eyes. You can tell she's really holding back, trying to keep it together. And she's great here.
Everybody on the original Avengers team, arguably, maybe not so much Ruffalo, but Mark Ruffalo, but like everybody else's acting is just next level for me in this movie.
Yeah.
She's great.
I agree.
Especially just let me go. It's okay. That whole scene.
Man, I'll get there.
Yeah. Sorry.
Wow. No, it's fine. I don't want to get too sidetracked. But the peanut butter sandwich line has always stuck in my craw. Like she's like, if you're about to tell me there's an upside here, you're about to get hit with a peanut butter sandwich. That she calls it a peanut butter sandwich. Is it really just peanut butter? Or
I've made only peanut butter sandwiches.
You gotta have the jelly. I love peanut butter, but you can't have peanut butter.
Jelly, that's why.
Like you can't have just peanut butter and bread, right? That's crazy.
No,
I guess you can.
I like it like that.
Okay.
So you can't have peanut butter without jelly?
I mean, I guess I could. I feel like it'd be missing something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I actually prefer it, without jelly.
Interesting. Probably better for you that way. And jelly's pretty much just sugar.
I guess Natasha and I are Soulmates.
So you have a chance and I don't.
Too bad she's dead.
Oh yeah, that's a bummer, man. You got to find those stones. So Scott Lang drops by and tells them what happened. I think it's funny when he's explaining what's going on.
Yeah.
Or do you know what? You can go ahead and do it.
I was a little bigger. Everyone was,
Oh.
what did he say? I was a little bit bigger.
I don't know. That wasn't the line I was thinking of, but that is funny too. Yeah. I just like it. He's like,
Have either of you guys ever studied quantum physics?
Only to make conversation.
Oh yeah, that was that cracked me up too.
it's a good line. Scott was only in the quantum tunnel for like 5 hours, but it was 5 years for everyone else. And he says time works differently in the quantum realm, unless you've watched Ant-Man 2. And he suggests that maybe it's possible to time travel to undo everything.
They should undo Ant-Man and Wasp. Listen to that episode of the podcast.
Yes. They're gonna need someone pretty smart on this. So they go to see Tony. He and Pepper have a little girl named Morgan now. She's, I don't know, 4 years old, something like that.
Is that also a Russo brother?
I don't
Daughter?
think so, but I don't know.
Because that kid was awesome.
She's great. I think that's one of the notes I had coming up. She's a great actress. A lot of times little kid actors can be annoying.
Right.
She's great. I love her. I like it when Tony goes to bring Morgan in for lunch and she's playing with the helmet from the rescue armor that he had made for Pepper.
It's fine, actually. Mom never wears anything I buy her.
So I was wondering, like, why didn't he make her nanotech armor? Why is he making her like her old? No, why was he making Pepper old school armor?
He's pretty stingy with the nanotech armor. Had a note later on, like when they suit up to go do the time heist here in a bit. Rhodey's still got like the Mach 2 armor, or whatever, Mach 3 armor, right?
Well, I mean, your buddy stole your armor.
Yeah. Tony's really holding a grudge.
Yeah.
Even after he basically got him paralyzed. But I was just like,
true.
Get him a nano suit. So like, it could just be pants and help him walk around, right?
No, because he did have the backup armor that he was going to get Rhodey that shows up at the end of the movie. Right?
He does?
Yeah, the like mega war machine armor. I don't even know what to call it. With the silver, but then like the red accents to it.
I don't remember. Oh well, or I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Steve and Nat and Scott show up.
I have what the f does that mean? Ask Zach.
That is correct. I was pretty sure it was all garbage, but it's not. Quantum fluctuation is a thing.
Yeah.
The Planck scale is related to quantum physics. I'm not positive that it's directly related to the way Tony said it was, but it was. I was starting to dig deep enough into where I was not understanding what I was looking at, and I was like, okay, that's probably good enough. If I don't get it, like, can it really bother me?
But does it trigger the Deutsch proposition?
So the Deutsch proposition states that backwards time travel would necessarily require creation of a parallel universe, named for by the guy who said that, the British physicist David Deutsch. So.
Oh, and that's exactly what the Hulk was talking about.
Yes. So, I mean, it's pretty much what he said. It still sounds like bullshit to me, though. So then he says, in layman's terms, you're not coming home.
Yeah.
But couldn't you technically, like, you could come back? I feel like you could come back to the same you could come back to the same universe you left. It just wouldn't be fixed. And then this parallel one is fixed, right? The one that was created.
Right.
I don't know.
I think.
I've thought about this kind of thing a lot.
This is why He Who Remains existed, to trim off all of those branches.
Right.
And the TVA.
Yep. Tony's pretty down on the time heist idea. He's got something to lose now, and he can't roll the dice on it. And then Morgan comes running over and says, "Mommy told me to come and save you." And the kid's super cute.
We're so perfect for the role. I hope she has a piece of the back end of the movie.
It'd be great, man. She'd be set for life.
Yep.
So who else could possibly help? Quick side note, actually. Do you think Shuri got snapped away because she could have helped? did we see her get snapped away, actually?
We didn't. I would say she didn't get snapped away. I would say she did get snapped away because when she shows up later, she's the same age that she was. She doesn't look like she aged 5 years.
Yeah, okay. But Black don't crack.
That's true.
That's two episodes in a row. I get to use
Whenever I
that one.
see Chadwick Boseman, man.
Oh, yeah, it's a bummer.
Uh,
So Cap, Nat, and Scott go off to see Smart Hulk. And I think it's in San Francisco again. I'm not sure where this is.
I think so.
Bruce has been able to merge himself and the Hulk. He put the brains and the brawn together. So he's huge, but he sounds like Bruce and he's smart. And I wish that they had modulated Mark Ruffalo's voice a little bit here because it just sounds like regular Mark Ruffalo. And he's so big. It should have been a little deeper or something.
Yeah.
Bruce seems down to help out. In the commentary, they said that Smart Hulk was originally going to happen at the end of Infinity War. He was going to bust out of the Hulk Buster suit and kill Cull Obsidian. But there was another thing that seemed like it was too much and out of place, right?
Right.
And it just makes more sense that Bruce had 5 years to work on it to get to this stage.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense because I don't know if you remember, but one of the trailers for Infinity War had the Hulk running down the plane with everybody. And then,
really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like that's why people were like, wait, what happened to that?
Oh, interesting.
And nobody ever explained it until like this.
Nice. Oh, I'm going to hopefully look into that when I'm editing this later. I don't remember that at all. Now that the idea has been planted in Tony's head, he can't stop thinking about it, and he feels like maybe he owes it to Peter Parker. And then he solves time travel in a jiffy.
Right. Anytime you put a Mobius strip together.
So I was going to say, this is the dumbest part of the movie to me, but it needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So they just get it over with and they move on. I think that they knew that there was no way to really sell it. And so just like, oh, he does it in a minute and that's that.
Right.
So I can accept it and move on.
I mean, I did like that the thing that triggered it was him looking at the picture of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
While he's doing dishes and stuff.
Then we get the I Love You 3000 scene, which is pretty adorable. And I think Robert Downey Jr.'s reaction seems really genuine. He's really good with kids.
The two of them are great.
Yeah.
I think that's why, we'll get to it later, but that kid without Tony at the end, and you're just like, they're so good together. You can imagine them, the time that they've spent together, and now you're like, now she doesn't have her daddy.
Yeah. And that's what I had next to my notes, actually, was like the parts like this are what make his death extra sad.
Yeah.
Tony tells Pepper about his time travel conundrum. As hokey as the setup is, it's an effective emotional scene.
What you reading? Nice.
I like the explanation Tony gives for what happened with their trials. He says, it's the EPR paradox. Instead of pushing Lang through time, you push time through Lang. Somebody could have cautioned you against it.
Wait, so that's a thing?
But the EPR paradox caught my ear. That one,
I'm not asking about yet.
Yeah, that one sounded like bullshit, so I looked it up. It's the Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen paradox. Basically, this is going to get a little too technical. I barely understand it myself. Basically, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle says you can't measure the exact position and momentum of a particle due to quantum mechanic craziness. Okay, that's too much to explain why, but that's the uncertainty principle. You can't know the exact position and the momentum at the same time. But the EPR, that the Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen paper that they wrote, posits that for a system with two particles that have interacted, you can measure the exact position of one particle and the exact momentum of the other particle. And from those, you can calculate the unknowns for the other particles, right? So you can exactly measure the position of one, you can exactly measure the momentum of the other, and then calculate the momentum and position, respectively, for the other ones. So the paradox is that it's impossible to know both for a particle, but yet it appears that you can, right? And so they could therefore conclude that reality can't be completely described by quantum mechanic wave functions. So that's the paradox. It has nothing to do with, with time travel.
Huh.
But it was an interesting thing to say.
Is that from the same book that the Einstein-Rosen bridge that Jane Foster talks about in Thor?
I don't think so, but I think that is the same Rosen and is certainly the same
Yes.
Einstein.
Right.
Yeah. I also wish that Tony didn't call it like a time GPS.
I didn't mind that so much because I thought it was like him dumbing it down for them.
I guess so, yeah. That makes sense. And it was a bit of an oof moment when he's like, we got to keep everything that we got in the last 5 years and maybe not die trying. Like, ooh, yeah, that's not going to work out so good for one of you.
It was that whole scene with Cap was great. Like in that short sequence, they made up. He gave him back his shield, and he laid it down, saying, "I've got the solution. I don't really want to do this because I have a lot to lose, but I'm down."
Yep. Now, Hulk and Rocket head to New Asgard, which is someplace on Earth where the surviving Asgardians have ended up. They need to recruit Thor for the time heist. They see Valkyrie there, and she warns them that Thor is not in a good mental state. Yeah, here I had the note about I think I liked you better either of the other ways.
Yes.
It's a great line. Fat Thor is pretty great. Chris Hemsworth continues to be a phenomenal actor. He's funny but emotional. He's got really bad PTSD, and he's been living with Meek and Korg, drinking beer all day and playing video games, clearly trying to forget about Thanos.
I really like the rubbing his belly when he hugged Rocket.
Oh yeah, like rubbing Rocket's face into his belly. It's disgusting. It's a really, really good fat suit too. It's like
That looked great.
it's like the visceral fat because like you can still see some of the stomach muscles over it, right? Yeah.
He's even got the
Good.
arm, the bottom arm muscle fat.
Yep. Yeah. It was good. Good. I assume that was practical effects, but
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Chris Hemsworth, the way he reacts to that, you got to watch that scene. That's a highlight for me. That's one of my favorite parts. I don't know how this is one of those things. I don't know how they're doing this. It's a comic book movie. Why are you taking it so seriously and doing it so well? I don't get it.
But I think this movie is why whenever like those serious directors and people that write off comic book movies
Yes.
as not serious movies, I just want to tell them,
Yeah,
if you haven't watched this movie, you shouldn't be wholesale writing off comic book movies.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely applies to a couple in the MCU and most of the DCU, but
Right.
this is a great movie. This is a movie. This is a film. Whatever term it is that they use, where they're like, it's not real. It's not real cinema.
Right.
This is really good.
Especially when that really, really serious and sad moment is interrupted by Rocket, and he goes, "There's beer on the ship."
That was my next line. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's great. There's beer on
And
the
then he
ship.
goes, "Oh, what kind?"
Yes, I love that's another great moment. He does this pause, so he's drinking a beer and Rocket's like, "There's beer on the ship," and he puts his beer down and he pauses for a second. And he's like, "What kind?" And that's the end of the scene. It's great. I don't know why it's so awesome, but I love it.
Yeah, I think I actually really think he's underrated as an actor.
Completely.
Because it wasn't because he was funny in the Ghostbusters
Yes,
movie.
that was
right?
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah. With the remake that everybody hated, but he was funny.
The
in it.
woke busters, you mean?
Oh, is that what people were calling it?
I don't know. I think I just made that up, but probably not.
I know that
Yeah.
people hated it because it was a bunch of women instead of the guys.
I mean, I had low expectations because anytime you try to make a sequel that much later or reboot something or whatever, it's almost never good. I really do like it though. I think it's a solid movie, and Chris Hemsworth is really hilarious in it.
Yeah. His timing is perfect like this, which is why I'm like, it's not just the writing, it's him.
Yeah. Totally agree. So Fat Thor is in. I don't think it's really for the beer. I think deep down he knows he needs to do something.
Yeah.
He needs to get redemption, but he's in. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, Clint, formerly Hawkeye, now Ronin. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think they ever call him that in the movie, but I know just a little bit about the comics. He's icing Yakuza like a mofo. Hiroyuki Sanada
Yeah,
is here. He's playing the Yakuza boss,
such a brief
Akihiko.
cameo.
Yeah, I was about to say. I know him best from Sunshine and the TV show Lost, right?
Mhm.
And
Oh, he was on
more
Lost?
recently, yeah.
Yeah.
How was he in Lost? He was in it. Um, it's been a long time since I've watched that. But more recently, he was in Shogun. So he's kind of a big deal. I was surprised that he was in this for so little. So to
Yeah.
call it a cameo, I think is actually appropriate.
Well, they had Ken Jeong earlier too, right?
Yes, and
Ken as the guard.
yeah. And I was wondering if he had
Yeah.
a bigger part earlier because he doesn't say a word, and that is really
Yeah.
unusual for that guy.
Yeah.
What was I say? Oh, I'm glad though that I guess both Kim Jong and Hiroyuki Sanada. I'm glad they weren't in it more because then I would have felt like we would have had to have a new cast section.
Yeah.
I also like the way that they explain Clint's motivation. Akihiko says that they didn't do anything to him. Why is he doing this? Clint says, you survived. Half the planet didn't. So he's been taking
Yeah.
out his grief and anger by killing people that he thinks don't deserve to have survived the snap. And he says, go ahead.
I was gonna say I sympathize with that guy with the
Totally.
rage that he probably felt because not knowing what happened and then finding out that your whole family got blipped out. I would.
What else are you going to do with your life at that point?
I would hunt.
Yeah.
If you were a very highly skilled and highly trained assassin, I would go after a bunch of people who I felt didn't deserve to have survived the blip.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says they got Thanos, you get me, which is a cool
That's
line.
a good line. Yeah.
And then they have a pretty cool little sword fight. It doesn't drag on too long. And then Akihiko says, I'll give you anything. And Clint says,
What I want, you can't give me.
all that. I love this. This whole scene is really good.
Yeah.
After that fight, Black Widow's there. She approaches Clint.
Yeah.
So that was actually written by consultants who are quantum physicists.
Really? Oh
yeah.
wow.
They had them they were like, write this part for us to make it sound good.
Right. I mean, that's a great explanation.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Clint goes back to see his family, but just barely. This is something, I don't know. I've definitely had this thought before, but something that always sticks in my craw now is that they can teleport you now too, because his family is, I don't know, wherever that farm is it upstate New York or something like that, but it's not where they're at, right? So, with the quantum tunnel before, it was like you went into the quantum realm, but it was where you were at, right?
But if you're in the quantum realm, you can travel pretty much anywhere.
I guess so.
Because where you show up can be totally different from where you entered, right?
Apparently, according to this movie, it kind of bothered me a little bit. But then I was thinking about, like, if you went back in time, it's like if you stayed in the same position and went back in time, you're not really going to be in the same spot because this is something I've thought about for like decades. You have the rotation of the Earth for one, right?
Mhm.
So at best, you're going to end up at a different spot on the Earth, but the Earth's going around the sun. So you end up in the middle of space, right? And the sun's going around the black hole in the middle of the Milky Way, right? So who knows where you're going to end up?
That's why you need a space-time GPS.
I guess Tony had it figured out. Yeah. In the commentary, they said, what was this about? They said something about, sometimes I can't tell when they're being sarcastic. Oh, no, I was saying that. So, yeah,
The Russo brothers?
Yeah. Everybody in the commentary. Because in one of the other, I think it was like Civil War or something, there was one where they were saying a bunch of shit and they would say it very seriously, but you could tell they were joking around. But in this scene where Clint goes back in time and he's at his farmhouse, whatever, and you see him walk over, right?
Mhm.
And the way that it's shot, you see him walking in the time travel suit, and you get a good look at the boots. They said that the time travel suits don't exist; that it's all CG.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I've seen pictures like that whole scene, like when the Avengers are walking towards the platform, the time platform.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of that, like there are pictures
They're all
of
in the
them
pajamas.
just wearing dots.
My God, I mean that's really good
Yeah.
effects because
That's why every
I
time I
thought for
see this
sure that they
movie,
were
I'm like,
joking.
holy shit! I hope those visual effects folks got paid.
Yeah, I mean the boots look real because they just
Yeah,
wrinkle just a little bit, and they're a little scuffed up.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. So hats off to the FX crew there.
I mean, wouldn't it have been cheaper to just make those suits?
That would have been my assumption, but I don't know. I also wish that they had put a little bit more of the VFX budget into Smart Hulk because sometimes he looks really fake.
Yeah.
Anyways, when Clint's brief time is up, he's holding onto his kid's baseball glove and he's able to bring that back. So that proves that they should be able to bring other things back, aka the stones.
Mm.
And that's the plan. Bring the stones back from different places and times that they know that the stones will be in. So then they have a time heist brainstorming meeting. They Hulk reiterates that they only have enough Pym particles for one round trip each. So they're really leaning into this and bothering me. I never caught it before that right after Thor lectures everyone to not call the Aether a stone.
Yeah.
He says it's more like an angry sludge. He
Yeah.
immediately refers to it as a stone.
That whole planning scene is like hilarious because he's just totally not in a good place to be explaining anything to like anyone.
Right. Doesn't Tony call him Lebowski at one point? He
Oh,
basically
yeah, yeah.
looks like he
Oh,
basically
it
looks
was
at
right before. It was right. It was he calls him move over Lebowski right before he calls Rocket Ratchet, and then and then, Rocket goes, "You're only a genius on Earth."
Yeah, that's right. Ratchet. I mean, Ratchet's a good name too. Did you catch? I only caught it because they said something about it in the commentary. Did you see what Hulk was eating and when seeing what kind of ice cream?
Oh, was it the Ben and Jerry's, his flavor?
Yeah, Hulka burning fudge.
Yeah. Was that really an ice cream that they had made,
I feel like they must have.
or fake packaging just to?
I think I don't know, but what might have happened. This sounds like in my head. It sounds vaguely familiar. It definitely sounds like something Ben and Jerry's would have done. It's not. I would imagine that they did a fake thing for the movie, and then Ben and Jerry's was like, "Hey, we could actually make that ice cream if you wanted."
I wonder
and
if
they might have made it.
They didn't actually make any of those flavors that they mentioned in Infinity War, did they?
I don't even remember them mentioning any ice cream in Infinity War.
Remember, he was like, my personal favorite's Hooka Hooka Burning Fudge. When Benjamin Wong and the Hulk and Tony Stark, they mentioned like 3 different flavors. I was like, I would totally buy those if they had ever made it.
And I'm googling it real quick. Did Ben and Jerry's make Avengers ice cream? They didn't actually make the flavor. Ben and Jerry's doesn't know.
Oh,
No, they didn't. Man, they should.
they
It's
should
not
have.
too late. It's not too late.
Product placement.
Yep. So for simplicity, we're going to rearrange the time heist part of the movie to fit into the different missions. Obviously, the movie cuts between them. I think this will be a lot easier to do than rearranging the entire movie for Infinity War that we did. It came out fine, I think, but it was a pain in the butt to organize. So we have New York 2012 for the Space Mind and Time Stones, which will be Captain America, Iron Man, and Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Asgard 2013 to get the Reality Stone is Rocket and Thor. And then Morag and Vormir in 2014 for the Power Stone and the Soul Stone, respectively, which is Rhodey and Nebula getting the Power Stone, and Black Widow and Hawkeye. It's so good. It's been used in like all the other Captain America movies, right? And even in at least one other Avengers movie. I don't know. That's great.
Doesn't he say it again later too?
He does not. And I was
I
was a little disappointed because like are you thinking about when Thanos knocks him down at the end? Yeah. When he gets back up, I could have sworn. I know he said it in his head. I could have
Am I
sworn
having a Nelson Mandela moment?
Yeah, totally.
Is that what it's called? The Mandela moment?
I even expected it the last time that I watched it, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen this movie so many times. I should know that he does not say it here. And I think they might have said something about it in the commentary, actually. Like, they thought it was maybe one too many times, but So the 2023 Captain America wins by zapping the 2012 version of himself with the scepter, which knocks him out for some reason instead of hypnotizing him, which was a little weird.
I thought it was because he had clothes on and he just wanted him to go to sleep.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how that thing works.
Yeah.
He gets up and he looks and he's like,
That is America's ass.
then Tony and Scott fill Cap in about the little problem with the Tesseract. Scott reminds him that they only have one Pym particle left each. Tony knows where they can get some more Pym particles and the Tesseract, so he and Cap head further back in time to New Jersey, 1970, while Scott goes back to the present with the scepter.
Hey, how did Tony know that?
How did he know where there are Pym particles in the Tesseract?
Yeah.
I have to imagine it's stuff that his father had told him. Well, so the Tesseract thing, I think you could figure out because we knew that S.H.I.E.L.D. had it.
Yeah.
And he must have known that Hank Pym worked at S.H.I.E.L.D. with his dad during that time and is assuming that there are Pym particles there.
Yeah. I was
That's
just thinking
that's my guess.
because I was just like, wait, how did he know? Because that was before he was even born.
Right. But I mean, I'm sure his dad told him a bunch of stuff. And I don't know. Maybe he's gone through some of his dad's old shit and learned a bunch of stuff. I don't know. It wasn't really a sticking point for me, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good moment of trust for Cap and Tony too. Like
We're in it.
I hope you know what
We're
you're
in it.
talking about.
Yeah.
So then we go to New Jersey, 1970. We get our Stan Lee cameo. This really is the last one. I guess so far anyway, they could digitally recreate him or something if they wanted.
I hope they don't do that.
I don't think they're gonna. They haven't done it yet, so it'd be weird if they started doing it now.
Yeah.
But I guess he recorded this one in advance, obviously. He drives by Camp Lee Army Base and shouts, "Make love, not war." And do you know who the woman in the car with him is?
No.
That is a digital recreation. It's his wife. And she died like a year and a half before him.
Wait,
So
wait, whose wife?
Stan Lee's wife.
Oh, that was? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
So it's
Did
a
not know
digital recreation of his wife. Her name is Joan Bucock.
Yeah.
Joan
Interesting
Bucock
name,
Lee. Yeah.
I had no idea.
She was a model and a voice actor, but yeah, she died. She was 95. She died of a stroke in 2017. Stan Lee also died at age 95, but that was like 16 months later.
Oh, well.
So anyways, this is where this camp, what's it called? Camp Lee Army Base. This is where Cap was made and S.H.I.E.L.D. was founded. Recall also that S.H.I.E.L.D. had the Tesseract for a while and Howard Stark found it in the ocean at the end of Captain America, the First Avenger. And recall that Hank Pym worked for S.H.I.E.L.D., which means that there's Pym particles here as well as the Tesseract.
Right.
So I do like this extra side mission thing in the movie plot. We would have been fine without it if they just got the Tesseract and were able to leave in New York
Earlier,
City.
yeah.
It would have been fine, but I like this.
Oh,
It's
but
good with
then
it.
then you wouldn't have had the chance to see the father-son moment with Tony.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So I guess the movie would have been fine without it, but it's great with it. So
I actually
I'm
think
glad
that, I
I'm
think
glad
that,
they didn't cut it out.
sorry, go ahead.
I just said I'm glad they didn't cut it out.
Yeah, I thought that they did it on purpose because they wanted to show how far Tony has grown. Because
for sure.
Because the whole
to
time,
make it
right?
hurt even worse.
Yeah, I think they really wanted to set it up so that they could twist the knife in once they stabbed you.
Yeah, and like, that never even occurred to me now that that didn't occur to me until now. Anyways, that was part of the motivation for that. It's just to humanize Tony even more. So when he dies at the end, it's even sadder.
Yeah, because he had so many daddy issues, and then he
Yep.
meets his dad, and his dad is clearly nervous about having a kid, who's him, right?
Yeah. And he now has a kid. Like Tony
Right.
has a kid, and so he knows stuff that this guy doesn't.
Right, and he also knows how much he loves his kid, and now he understands how much his dad loved him, but didn't really know how to like tell him at the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think he's because before, when he was just a millionaire playboy philanthropist, he just did whatever the fuck he wanted. And now he's got like everything on the line and he's risking it. And he's telling his dad, you did just fine. Don't worry about it. And I don't know, man. Like that whole thing with him and his dad was pretty strong for me.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth the extra movie time. Tony goes for the Tesseract, has a run-in with his dad, Howard Stark, who's about to have a baby. They have a nice. It's the acting. The acting is so good.
This highlights one of what I think is the MCU's biggest sins is not giving Rene Russo more time in the MCU.
You know what's funny is in the commentary they said something to the effect of like they think that she might have had more lines of dialogue here than she did in all of Thor 1 and Thor 2.
I think she did actually.
Yeah. I mean, she's having a full-on conversation here at least, right?
I like the eat a salad.
Yeah. The most I remember her saying is in Thor 2 when she confronts Malekith.
Yeah.
Like right before she dies. But I think she talks here a lot more. She's great.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they were able to get her back for this. Where was I? We get a quick scene with Natalie Portman that was supposedly cut from Thor 2. You know, Rocket gets ready to strike to get the ether out of her. Thor has a really touching talk with his mom. Rocket gets the ether and then gets chased by guards. And just before they go, Thor is able to summon the 2013 Mjolnir and take it with him. So it's nice to know that he's still worthy. It's another great moment.
Oh, yeah, and he was so happy when it came.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was important to him to know that he's still worthy.
Yeah.
Right. If he wasn't able to summon it, that would have been kind of a downer. Like, oh, fuck, I still got a ways to go.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that Mjolnir was destroyed by
By Hela.
Yeah.
So now we'll look at the Morag 2014 part. This is the setting at the beginning of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie where Peter Quill is going to get the orb that contains the Power Stone.
Yes.
This is right before that happens. Rhodey, Nebula, Black Widow, and Hawkeye are all there. They've reinvigorated the spaceship Milano, and Hawkeye and Black Widow take it to Vormir to get the Soul Stone, while Rhodey and Nebula stay behind for the Power Stone. So we'll stick with Rhodey and Nebula for now.
You know, probably good that Scott said not it during the planning phase for this, right?
Yes. Yep. They wait for Quill to show up and get the stone. The plan is to take it from him. Nebula points out that the 2014 version of herself is currently looking for the stones along with Thanos and Gamora. And then we get a little side story of the 2014 versions of those characters having found the Power Stone on Morag, or having located it. They know the location of it. They didn't actually get it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I like that the 2014 Nebula looks different because she was a little less modified at the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of important for later to help tell them apart. The 2014 Nebula has some kind of seizure and then projects what just happened on Morag with Rhodey. And so now the 2014 Thanos and Gamora and Nebula know what's up. This part's kind of hokey to me.
Which part?
Why the
projecting the memory
right,
bank.
the memory sharing. And so I was kind of like, well, is it quantum entanglement? And yeah, I guess that's exactly what Ebony Maw says in the next scene. But it was stretching it a little bit for me.
But why would it be? Is it because
she went
mechanical?
through the quantum realm?
But so did everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or is it because she's part machine? So like
because she's part machine, I assume. But yeah. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
So Ebony Maw helps Thanos to probe Nebula. Maw says the memory was entangled. It was a memory, but not hers. So yeah, quantum entanglement. Then they determine that there's another Nebula from 9 years in the future on Morag, and they can access her computer bits and search her memories. So they do that. They're trying to find any memories on Infinity Stones, and then they pretty much get all the information that they need. So I think that the interesting thing here is that when Thanos sees the memory of himself being decapitated, he's completely unfazed by it. If anything, he's spurred on by it because he knows that he succeeded.
Right.
I also feel like this Thanos is a bit more of a villain trope to me on this one. Like
what do you mean?
First of all, he's taking this shortcut now, right? The shortcut to the stones. And he just seems more power hungry. And I feel like when he worked hard to get the stones, and the other one, I feel like he was he grew more as a character, and it wasn't really about power. I'm not saying it is about power here, but I feel like his motivations are not the same as
Interesting.
I want to say previous version, but that's just him later. It's very confusing to talk about.
Huh.
So I guess I don't identify with this Thanos as much.
I just
Not that I ever,
I just took it as he had manually killed less civilizations, and so presented with an opportunity where I think the Infinity Gauntlet was always on his radar,
right.
and he wanted to get to it eventually, but then he found out, oh, I did get to it eventually in the future, and these guys are trying to put it together so they can undo what I did. So let me just take it from them.
Right. I understand why
Right.
he's getting it, but I feel like, to your point, I feel like not having manually slaughtered all those civilizations,
Right.
he didn't have as much growth, we'll call it.
Mm.
Like, so I don't know. He just seems different to me, and I don't like him as much as a villain.
Yeah. I guess what I don't get is why didn't Nebula just press the button and go back to the quantum realm?
Well, she was about to, and then she like has a seizure. Actually, I think that's what happens next. Yeah, we're gonna get
Right.
to that in a second. So it's basically the opening of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Quill's listening to his Walkman, dancing across the terrain to get to the temple with the orb in it.
That's still one of the best openings too.
It is great, yeah. Rhodey and Nebula are watching, and without the music, it's pretty awkward.
Yeah, like Rhodey going, so he's an idiot.
Yes, that's exactly what I had next. Yeah. But then Rhodey cold cocks him. Why? Didn't they just discuss that they were going to take the orb from him after he got it? Like, was that not the plan?
I don't know.
And then like I also started thinking about it more. How did Nebula even know that he was going to be there on that day at that time?
Oh, maybe because of Korath.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe. Somebody was taking notes.
I mean, I was just stretching. Like he's the only one that's there, so but then Korath dies in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but I'm sure he had a chance to talk to Nebula about it.
Yeah. Oh no, wait. Ronan reported it to
Ronan
Thanos in there,
reported
right?
Ronan reported where the location of the Power Stone was, but I don't
Right.
know if he said anything about Quill being there.
Hmm.
Anyways, I'm getting into the nitty gritty, and I probably don't need to. So, Rhodey and Nebula take Peter Quill's tools, and they use that to get into the temple. Rhodey has a funny reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark here, which you still haven't seen, have you?
Nope.
He's like, this is the part where spikes with skeletons on them come out, which was great because the first time I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, that was exactly what I was thinking when he first goes in to the temple. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna be booby trapped, and I was a little disappointed when it wasn't. Did it bother you, Rhodey's light in this scene?
What do you mean his light?
He's got this. I guess it's supposed to be like a flashlight, but it's like a glowing ball orb thing that he's using as a flashlight. It's just like this.
Not
Like, why didn't you just have like a
really.
regular flashlight? Wouldn't his suit have like headlights on it or something?
Yeah.
But then also the way he's carrying it, it's shining in his face more than it's shining in front of him.
Yeah, it's not really like a flashlight where the light's directional.
Right.
It's just kind of all over the place, and
Yeah.
you probably don't want that if you're like searching for something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or like hold it higher above your head. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that kind of bothered me a little bit. So Nebula goes ahead and wrecks her hand getting the orb out of the containment thingy. And, again, why didn't they just wait for Quill to get it? But whatever.
Right.
Rhodey takes the orb and quantum tunnels back, but before Nebula can, she has a seizure or something. No doubt due to Maw messing with her memories.
Yeah.
She collapses, and then it cuts to Thor's ship where that Nebula's projector plays some memories from the beginning when the Avengers confronted Thanos.
Wait, but didn't she go to the ship first and then try to like send out an escape?
Yeah. So I just kind of skipped over that part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she tried to, she went to the Milano and tried to warn Clint that Thanos knows.
Right.
But that they never received that signal.
Right.
So then then Thanos shows up and takes her and the ship, right?
Yeah.
But before that happens, the 2014 Nebula projects the memories of the part where Thanos got his head cut off, right?
Yeah.
And so Thanos knows that the work was successful. He says the work is done. It always will be. I am inevitable. Oh, that's the memory that was playing back.
Right.
And so now they know everything. And then when the 2023 Nebula comes to, she's taken by Thanos after she runs to the ship, right?
Right.
Then the 2014 Nebula beats up on the 2023 Nebula. It takes a piece of her headgear to disguise herself, and she's going to return in 2023 Nebula's place.
Right.
Then we go to Vormir, where Black Widow and Hawkeye are. That's exactly the right face to be making right now.
I know.
Yeah.
So sad.
Black Widow and Hawkeye are just arriving at Vormir. And we all know what's going to happen. It's just a question of who goes at this point. Like, if you haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
I really love this part, actually. But the first time I saw it, I don't know. It seemed kind of dorky to me. I don't even know how to describe it.
Because they were fighting to see who would go.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, just one of you go. Like, stop dragging it out.
Yeah.
By the third time I saw it, I was crying when the scene started. So I've definitely come around on it. It's great.
All the
Yes.
damn time. Every time
Yes.
that green light comes up, I
That's
crack
good
up.
stuff. But if Thor wasn't a drunk mess, he probably would have been the right choice. But here, I think Smart Hulk makes the most sense.
If Captain Marvel was around, do you think she would have been the right choice?
Oh, yeah. That's actually an interesting point. Yeah.
Wait, why isn't she with all of them?
There's something at the beginning where she's like, yeah, I'm going to be, it's basically like, I'm going to be out of contact for a while. I got something to do somewhere.
But when did she say that? I can't remember.
When Black Widow is having like the hologram Skype call with Okoye and Rhodey and obviously Captain Marvel and Rocket, I think. She says it there. She's like, I'm going to be pretty tied up for a little while. So,
but she didn't have the space pager. I feel like they should have.
Apparently not anymore, or maybe it just took her that long to fly back.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but while that's going on, Evil Nebula is using the time travel machine to bring Thanos and his army there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's obviously a Pym particle count issue here, I think.
Right, they lost track of one Pym particle.
Yeah, well, that's how she got back. She had to use it to get back, right? But
right.
Captain America, he grabbed some extras in 1970, but not enough to bring an entire army through with ships, right?
Right.
So they kind of addressed this in the commentary, actually. So earlier, there's a scene where the one Nebula kicks the crap out of the other one, and then the 2012 Nebula hands Thanos the Pym particle container.
Right.
Right, and that's kind of how that scene ends. So I guess the idea is that Ebony Maw is smart enough to make a bunch more.
Right.
And so then she uses one to go back and then uses a bunch more to bring them through.
Right.
There's some discussion about the specificity of the wish. I like your idea of the vision.
Doesn't Hulk mention that later too? Towards the end, he's like, I tried to bring her back.
Yeah.
And then that's why I think, that's why it took so long for him to snap, because Thanos just picks it up, puts it on, and he goes like this.
Yeah.
But Hulk was struggling with it.
Yeah, they want to bring everyone who got snapped away back. Don't change anything from the last 5 years.
Right.
And then Hulk snaps. I wonder if he went to the pocket dimension though. Like there's that little bit when Thanos snaps at the end of Infinity War, and you see his baby Gamora.
The Soul Stone dimension thing, right?
Yeah. The first time I saw it after Hulk snaps, I kind of thought it didn't work. Did you get that feeling?
I think I feel like it was a fake out and that I knew was coming,
mm-hmm.
because he had snapped and then his eyes rolled into the back of his head and he fainted. So I feel like I knew something happened, and so I did think it was a bit of a fake out when they were like, nothing happened.
Well, I guess I thought something happened, but I just thought maybe they weren't able to bring everybody back the way that they wanted to. But then Hawkeye gets a call from his wife, which made me get pretty emotional.
Made him emotional too.
Yeah. And then the place gets blasted, and I thought, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is like unintended consequences. And I thought that I thought they were going to have to do it again. Cause I thought,
Yeah.
basically they all got killed. And I think that's a gripe for me here. At least Scott should be dead. He shrinks down, but I don't know. Just the amount of ballistic missiles that Thanos uses to blow up the Avengers facility. Like it's totally scorched earth. Like if they didn't die from having their organs liquefied by concussive blasts or from getting crushed by rubble and debris,
Right.
they would have died from a lack of oxygen.
Well,
Right?
Clint was right next to that window when it blew in,
Yeah.
and he's just a guy, a normal guy.
Yeah.
He's not.
So,
He doesn't get
not even
dense when he
in a
shrinks.
good suit. Yeah.
You know.
So I don't know, that's always bothered me a bit. They went too big with that.
Yeah.
But I've come to accept it. Everyone survives. Eventually everyone gets out. It looks like a hellscape, which is really cool. Clint finds the nano gauntlet and he has to escape some Chitauri while getting out.
Mhm.
Thanos beams down and has a seat while he waits for Nebula to bring him the stones.
I thought that was pretty badass.
It's pretty arrogant.
Can be. You're the big
Yeah.
boss.
Yeah. The 2014 Gamora talks to 2023 Nebula, aka the Good Nebula, and they have a nice little chat, and then Gamora lets her out, and they're going to team up to stop Thanos. Iron Man, Cap, and Thor survey the situation and decide to engage with Thanos. Thor summons Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and then his beard braids itself, which is really cool.
That was so awesome. And he's got the adjusted for his tubbiness armor.
Oh, yeah. Thanos says that his plan now is to shred the universe down to the last atom and create a new one, which I'm not sure how he plans to survive that, but I guess if your vision is specific enough. The fight with Thanos and the three of them is really great. Obviously, a highlight. The choreography and the camera work are on point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creativity with the team up fighting. But as we discussed, the best part, obviously, is Cap summoning Mjolnir.
Like hands down, man.
Yeah. And then Thor going, I knew it.
Yeah. And then getting kicked in the face.
Yes. The audience reaction in the theater for that moment when Cap summons Mjolnir, I will never forget that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's really my biggest regret with this movie is seeing
having it spoiled.
Yeah, having it spoiled on
Yeah.
Instagram of all places. And
Yeah. I still get goosebumps though, man.
so a good proposal for an AI app is an AI that just like screens out movie spoilers for you on your computer so you don't see it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. You know more about it than I do. So then Cap goes ham on Thanos for a while. He even manages to summon lightning using Mjolnir, which is a nice touch.
Dude, it's such a good fight. The way it's so good.
Yeah.
And like the only time Thanos actually that starts gaining the upper hand is when he actually manages to grab his arm.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time when Cap is being super fast and it's just like wham, 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 he's like a natural at using Mjolnir, which is so beautiful.
We'll come back to the fight in a second, but while that's going on, Clint runs into Nebula, but he doesn't know it's the bad Nebula, and she just takes the gauntlet from him. But then Gamora and the good Nebula show up, and the good Nebula has to kill the bad one.
Kills herself to protect her sister.
Yes. Good. That's an important detail, actually. There's a moment here where it looked like Cap was going to die.
Yeah.
Thanos is hacking away at the vibranium shield. Cap gets knocked down, and Thanos has his entire army beamed down. Of course, it's hilarious.
That dude just has perfect timing.
He's so good. Captain America is going to go put the stones back exactly where they came from, which seems like an impossible task at this point because how are they going to undo what happened in New York City with the Tesseract where Loki took it? Like, I don't know how you fix that. There's been some rumors, right? That there's going to be a TV show maybe about him putting the stones back.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I did see that people have been talking about that.
I would love to see that.
You would want to see it?
Yeah, I want more Captain America. I would even settle for like an alternate timeline thing, like here at the end of the movie where he's with Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
Maybe him and Peggy Carter get up to some stuff in the 40s and 50s and 60s or whatever.
Oh. I don't know. I kind of like leaving it to my imagination. That's kind of like almost.
You
That's
know,
kind of like I'm not
you're
really
probably right.
the what?
You're probably right. You're probably
Yeah,
right.
but that's
to-
also like why I like. I don't really know how I feel about Tony Stark as or RDJ as Doctor Doom.
I think we would be fine without it,
Yeah,
but I'm a little bit excited for it.
yeah. I guess we'll just to
But
see.
I hope it's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, there's a good callback, kind of reversal on the callback.
Don't do anything stupid till I get back.
How can I? You're taking all this stupid with you.
Cap's supposed to come right back, but he doesn't. He stays in 1940 something to be with Agent Carter. And I think Bucky knew, right? Bucky knew he wasn't going to come back.
No, I think he had a feeling.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I
You know what I mean?
think that's more accurate.
Yeah.
But then old man Captain America is there and he gives Falcon the shield.
By the
which-
way, for a bunch of superheroes, they had like zero awareness of their surroundings, considering he was sitting there the whole time.
Yes. Well, that was, yeah. I was like, how long has he been sitting there?
He's been sitting there the whole time, right? Because he doesn't have the suit or anything.
No. So that was kind of another question I had.
Yeah.
If he went back in time and stayed with Peggy Carter,
Right.
isn't that a different universe now? So how would he get
Oh,
there?
yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
like
They're,
he
they're
would have had to
contradicting
take
themselves.
yeah, like he would have had to take the quantum tunnel back over to this one or something. I
Right.
don't know.
Because that's a different reality now that he's stepped into.
Right. And then my other question was, did somebody fix the shield or did he just take it from the past?
I assumed he took it from the past.
Yeah.
If he took it from the past, then he took it from the other Captain America.
Yeah. And so now what's he doing? I don't know.
He's wondering where he put his frisbee.
Or maybe Howard Stark had more than one. I don't know. Do you know, is it Chris Evans in makeup?
I think so.
It is? Okay. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Actually, no, now I'm not so sure. I thought it was. And then they just
I'm not
shrunk
sure. I
his
meant to
body
look-
down.
Yeah. I meant to look into it, but
Was that a members only jacket he was wearing?
it did kind of look like totally something an old man would wear. Oh, this is just a dumb side thing, but I like I like the character of Sam Falcon, and I really like Anthony Mackie
Yeah.
as an actor. But the character of Sam, his beard has always bothered me.
The stubble.
Just the way that it's shaved, I feel like it should go along his jawline, but it's like across his cheek.
Uh,
And I think it looks really weird when it shows him face on. Like from the side, it looks fine, but
Yeah.
it's always stood out to me, and I felt like I finally had to speak up about it. Then we go, I don't know what year it is or where exactly, but we have Captain America dancing with Peggy Carter,
Yeah.
presumably in their house. I don't know, but it makes me a little misty. You know, I think he deserves that ending.
yeah, no, for sure.
And that's it. That's the end. There's no mid-credit stinger, but if you sit through the 12 minutes of credits, you do hear the sound of Tony making the Mark I suit in that cave in, I think it's Afghanistan or whatever, in the
Right.
first Iron Man. Yeah. Did you ever sit through it in the theater and listen?
No,
I
I
did.
didn't even notice that.
Yeah. That's Endgame. Do you want to go first on changes you'd like to have seen?
More Rene Russo.
Mm.
Everything else is such a nitpick. I don't even feel like bringing it up.
I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, don't do the pin particle count. Just say you don't have many to spare.
Right.
I think that's probably my biggest gripe.
Yeah.
You know, or get the accounting right. Account for the fact they need to grow and shrink, but that seems like an impossible task because how would they know how many times he would need to grow and shrink, etc.
Yeah.
I would also say don't have Thanos blow up the entire Avengers headquarters like that. You know, I would do it less. Go less is more. Or maybe that there should have been a defense system that mitigated the damage or something, because I just feel like they all should have been dead.
Right.
In a movie that hinges on quantum time travel, this was the hardest part for me to believe. Similarly, we did not discuss this yet. Similarly to my proposed change at the end of Age of Ultron, I wish they would have made Endgame the end of Phase 3. But there's one more movie, and then it's the end of Phase 3.
Wait, what's the end of Phase 3? Spider-Man?
Spider-Man Far From Home,
Oh, okay. Got it.
which, you know, is basically like an entire denouement to this
Right.
in a way. So I guess that's why it's still phase 3. But okay, you want to go? You got any highlights you want to talk about or recap?
I don't even know where to start. There's so many good scenes and there's so many highlights. Uh, the most obvious one is the Captain America getting the hammer, getting
Yeah.
Mjolnir. That's like the
Yep.
biggest like highlight
Yeah.
for me.
I think that might be my favorite scene in all of the MCU. It's
Yeah.
so good.
It's hands down my favorite scene in all of the MCU. I did love the revisiting of the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
And then seeing it from a bystander without the music and seeing how stupid he looks doing it because he's also like singing along to it. Um, that part just cracked me up. There's so many because this movie has a lot of really funny quips also, and that Rhodey and Rocket deliver. Actually, back now that I'm remembering all this stuff, the other thing I would change is Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk just annoyed
yeah.
me in this
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
quite a bit because he's supposed to be smart, but he's like goofy. It's like he doesn't
He's
take
a,
anything seriously, which
yeah.
feels out of character for like Banner.
Yeah.
Like even like the
I
snapping of
agree.
his computers and stuff. But everything else is like pretty great. I liked seeing Rene Russo's character again. Probably could have done without the ancient one, but what do you call it? I wish there were other characters we had seen a little bit more of. I was happy. It was great seeing Loki again and
Yep.
him not being dead, and then seeing him escape and knowing that, hey, I guess there is another version of Loki that's gonna survive this. So that part was nice.
Is that the Loki that is in the show?
That is the Loki that ends up in the show.
Oh,
in
interesting.
the TV
That's right.
show. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. They kind of recap that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Was everybody from the first Avengers not blipped out? The whole original Avengers crew.
Yeah, I think
stayed intact, right?
so. I think so. Yeah. Seems right.
Yeah. Oh, so they
They
got
got
really
lucky.
lucky then.
Yeah.
That they didn't actually like blip out. Chadwick Boseman. Also, it was also great seeing him,
Yeah, it was nice to see him again. Yeah.
and that made me sad, but it was also great seeing him in action.
I would agree with most of that stuff. I would also add the Fat Thor. A lot of things Fat Thor did, but reacting to Smart Hulk mentioning Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chris Hemsworth. I can never say his name.
Hemsworth.
I think Chris Hemsworth is maybe doing the best acting in this film, and it's a high bar too. It's like I'm not saying that everybody else is phoning it in, and it's also maybe not fair to everyone else because of what his character is given to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So I would also say that Gwyneth Paltrow when Tony dies is pretty great. Another favorite part is Black Widow getting Clint in Tokyo. That whole scene.
Mm.
Captain America talking to himself with I can do this all day. I know.
Yeah. And then admiring his ass.
Yes. And the fight between Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor versus Thanos. Especially when Cap wields Mjolnir, we covered that. That's just such an amazing scene. That whole bit.
I think everybody showing up too was really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then of course Tony getting the stones and snapping. That's always gets me every time.
There's so many great scenes in this.
So moving on to ranking, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between Black Panther and Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, it's number one, man. It's number one for me.
You seem really, really sure about that.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the list, and
even though
Infinity
you hate
War
Professor Hulk,
huh?
Even though you hate Professor Hulk.
No, even though I hate, because there's just all the stuff that we just mentioned is just like all these gold nuggets of like just pure joy in this movie. Even just like all the lead up, building up, like seeing Tony's growth in the 5 years from the blip and making him into this father figure and the most adorable daughter. And when he dies, you feel all of that loss because you see how far he's progressed since like the first Iron Man movie, right? And like even the first
Right.
Avengers movie where Cap's like, you're not the guy that's gonna put him like jump on a grenade or lay it down on the line, and he is. He
Yeah.
completes that circle, Um. So yeah, I don't know.
So you're saying
It's up there
this,
for me.
for all its faults, it's more than made up for.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's got a great opening, but it falters a bit in that first hour.
Oh, in the beginning, really?
And well, because that's where like Bruce is being kind of goofy with the time travel tests and stuff like that. The time heist part, solid. That's great. And just a few issues with the last hour, like what was the plan with the quantum tunnel in the van and stuff like that. So there's some great, huge, impactful, and emotional moments, but also a lot of borderline corny ones too. On my first recent rewatch, at one point early on, I was actually thinking that this was a close third behind Infinity War and Civil War.
Really?
You look so mad. You look so mad right now.
I'm not. No, I'm not mad. I'm just looking at the list, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wow, like. No, I mean, if there are any movies to lose to, those are the two, right?
Yeah.
Those, like, to me, this is easily in the top 3.
Oh yeah, so they're all basically number one to me.
Yeah.
Like Infinity War, Civil War, and Endgame. But we can't do that. We got to rank them, right?
Right.
So like, there's so much to this. Like the beginning, the middle, and the end. There's so many amazing things that happen. It's a tough decision. I think I've convinced myself that it should at least be higher than Civil War. So I think it's at least number 2. I don't know if it's number 1. Relative to Infinity War, there's a lot more things in this that I find myself I have to let go just because the rest of the movie is so good. I can't say that they're forgivable, but I can like willfully overlook them.
Right. Even the Mjolnir scene, that doesn't forgive all the sins for you.
No, you can't just forgive things.
That look, because I seriously, whenever I see that scene, I always imagine if I was just only in the theater, I bet that would have been something.
If that scene was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, would that Ant-Man and the Wasp be the best movie?
No, but Ant-Man and the Wasp has so many problems weighing it down.
Yeah. All right, so but that's my point. Is like there's some problems here where I don't really have that many, if any, at all in Infinity War.
When did you notice the quantum tunnel van problem?
Just this last
watch, me too. I think it was. This was the out of all the viewings I've seen, this was the only time it ever occurred to me going, what was the fucking plan with there?
Yeah, nobody really thought that one through.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it speaks to a bit to the rest of the movie because it's so good. You're so invested in what's going on. Like, unless you really are looking for stuff, you might not catch it.
Okay.
But the most critical piece of this is that the quantum, in the quantum realm, time is different and whatever. And that Scott coincidentally got let out by a rat. And those are pretty big errors to overlook.
Yeah.
So I think it's like 75% of Endgame is a little bit better than Infinity War, but then 25% of it is not. And some of that 25% is kind of a lot not. So I think I'm arguing to put it in second. It is very, very close.
I'm trying to find my Infinity War. There's my Infinity War notes. I'm trying to figure out what it was what in Infinity War I might not have liked so much. Dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizard. That was a pretty good line.
Anyways, so I don't know. I think we might have to play for it. I think unless I convince you of second. All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
That'll make your wife happy.
She does hate it whenever we agree.
Yes. Wow. Okay. I am ready to hear your bid when you are ready to give it.
I'm going to go for 5.
Okay. It's all you. I was like, I think maybe I have 2. I could probably guess at 3. All right,
really?
5. Oh. Yeah.
I thought since we saw a lot of this stuff recently.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking about like confident in my answer here. So, all right. So you're going for 5. A little bit different. Yeah. Let me find the answers. Good for you. Huh?
I figured I might as well try to go for broke. I'm actually okay with it being number 2, but
I mean, I'll be okay with it being number one, but
Yeah.
okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Tony Stark records a message for his family and friends. What day before the time heist?
The day of.
The day of the time heist?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
That is incorrect. It's the day before.
I swear he said that this time heist we're about to go on. Damn it.
Well, yeah, but
Nah, I fucked up. I should have said 4.
that still could be the day before.
Right.
Like, anyways, yeah, that was a guess on mine. I was going to say one day, which, if you had said one day, I would have accepted that, but okay.
Ah, damn it.
What powerful object, what powerful object does Thor see when he revisits the vision Wanda Maximoff implanted in his mind?
The Infinity Stones.
That is correct. I would have got that wrong. I would have said the Mind Stone. What nickname does Carol Danvers give Maria Rambeau's daughter?
Lieutenant Trouble.
Very good. I had no clue on that one. What item does Happy Hogan insist everyone at Stark Industries display?
Their security badge.
Can you be less specific?
Their identity
fine.
thingy?
It just says badge. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, less specific means, yeah, the badge.
What does Jarvis say is the altitude record for fixed wing flights?
Listen,
75,000, 85,000, or 95,000 feet?
I'm going to go with 85,000 feet.
Good guess. Always pick the middle. All right. So this is make or break, buddy. You got 4. You got to get one more. What respiratory disease did Steve Rogers have that kept him out of the army?
Asthma.
That is correct. I thought it was tuberculosis.
Oh.
So you win.
Oh shit! I made it.
Bitch.
I made it because of that second get that last guess.
Yeah. God damn it! You always win when it matters. That's what I'm mad about. So that makes.
I was really kicking myself for going for like all 5.
Yeah. No, good. You earned that one. So that makes Endgame. That makes Avengers Endgame our new number 1.
Woo. I did it for Tony.
That's it for Avengers Endgame. Next up for Series 1 is Spider-Man Far From Home from July 2nd, 2019. If you want to contact us, you can email us at absolutelythebestpodcast@gmail.com. Join our Discord. There's a link in the show notes, and we also have some links there to our socials and a couple of ways you can help support the show. Leave us a review. Please help us spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, and pour one out for Tony Stark. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Bye.
Absolutely the Best Podcast is a production of Audio Johnny, a subsidy of Corporation Johnny.
Corporation Johnny. If it exists, we own it.
The new world is inevitable.
It's what?
Inevitable.
One more time?
Inevitable! Things are inevitably going to change! God damn it, open your fucking ears!